Hi, my book babes. I know it's been a while. I've been crazy busy, but I got my hair done. So she's nice, she's refreshed, and I'm wearing my Geralt PJs, paying homage to Daddy Geralt. The girls who get it, and the girls who don't, don't. Anyways, it is 1 a.m. I have no makeup on, all right? So this is purely just late night book time. But anyways, I'm doing this video because I went through my bookshelves today and I spent a good 3-4 hours reorganizing all of them. So now I have it organized by genre, because before I had it organized just by like series and then like alphabetized by author's last name, which is cool and dandy, but I wanted to change. So now it's organized by genre. So if I'm looking for a genre, all of that genre is just in one place. So I'm really excited. But anyways, let's get to the point of the video. Today we are doing an unhaul. What? Which is absolutely crazy for me. I know. Let's keep our pants on. Let's not go to banana bonkers here. But yes, I have 20 books that I am unhauling today, and I'm so excited. I don't know if I want to give them to like little libraries in my area, or if I want to donate them to Goodwill yet. I don't know what I'm doing with them. But I know that they are no longer going to be in my library anymore, but they will be going to better homes. Homes that they will get more love and appreciation from, all right? So let's go ahead and get started, all right? First, let's go ahead and do fantasy, all right? Fantasy. So first, I have Mad Love by Paul Dini and Pat Cadigan. So yes, this book, I read it and I didn't love it. I think I rated it like 3 stars, and I just know that I'm never going to read it again. So I have no reason to hold on to it. All right. Over there in the unhaul pile. Next, we have Dungeons and Dragons, Honors Among Thieves, The Druid's Call by E.K. Johnston. Another one, when I read it, I enjoyed it, but it was still pretty mid. I don't remember a lot about it, and I know I'm never going to read it again. It was one of those things where I enjoyed the story, but it's not one of those things that's really just going to stick with me. So, to the unhaul pile it goes. Next, I have a book that I read with my college book club, The Magic Fish by Trung Le Nguyen. And it is a graphic novel, and it was a beautiful story. But again, I don't think I'm ever going to reread it. I think when I read this book, I gave it 4 or 5 stars, which is beautiful, and it had great fairy tale elements incorporated into it, and immigration, like a lot of good heavy topics. However, I just know I'm not going to read it again. So I don't want it to take space on my shelves when it can go to someone who will really love and devour this book, because it is illustrated so beautifully and colorfully, and new home it goes, right? All right, for next on my fantasy, from James Patterson, we have Sophia, Princess Among Beasts. I think I rated this like a 3 out of 5 stars, if I remember correctly. But like I said, I just don't think I'm going to reread this book. That's probably going to be my reason for all of these. The person I remember the most, I don't even remember the name, but I just know they were like a shadow daddy, but they were the villain. And so my toxic trait, the whole time I was like, yes, get with the villain. She does not get with the villain because he's the villain. And you know, me being me, I was like, you can change him. Honey, she didn't change him. So, but it was cute. Just, I know I'm not going to reread it. So to a new home it goes. Next, this is a book that I have not read. It's called The Misted Cliffs by Catherine Azzaro. This has been on my TBR for years. And I have so many fantasy books that are still on my TBR. So I just like, I gave myself a reality check and I was like, girly pop, how likely are you to pick up this book compared to other books? And I was like, not very likely. There are other books that I'm super excited for, but I don't want this book to just shrivel up and die on my shelves. I want it to go to a home where someone can read it and use it and love it and appreciate it. So it's time to say goodbye to the Misted Cliffs. All right. And last, for the fantasy section, I have not read this one either, but it's The Wolf by J.R. Ward. First of all, I got it for like super cheap. I think it was like $1 or something. Hence the man on the cover, because that is illegal. I don't do men on the covers unless they're the cartoon ones. But this is like a werewolf, vampire, paranormal book, and I was in a werewolf era when I bought this, and I'm no longer in that werewolf era, so I just don't think I'm very likely to read this book. Also, I don't want to take this outside of my home because of the man on the cover, okay? The girls who get it, and the girls who don't. But I think it's time to say goodbye to this one, so that is what I'm doing. All right, so that's fantasy. Let's go ahead and move on to, I have one YA and one like mystery thriller I'll do, and then last but not least I'll do romance. So let's do the YA. I read this book a super long time ago. It's We All Fall Down by Natalie D. Richards, and I honestly remember nothing about this book. I know it's like a big miscommunication trope because it's two teenagers and she's had a crush on the guy for forever, but she thinks it's one-sided, and then the guy's had a crush on the girl for forever and he finally wants to tell her, but then a big misunderstanding happens and the guy ends up like punching her in the face, and so they're not friends anymore because she thinks he's abusive and yada yada yada. So I just remember being frustrated the whole time because of all the miscommunication that happens, and like I'm like, I get it, you're teenagers in high school, but like sit down and talk to each other and work things out and maybe you'll be better off. But anyways, I read this when I was in like, I want to say 8th or 9th grade, so it's been a minute. I'm moved on, so it can go to a new home now. All right. And then for my one mystery thriller book, I have Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. I read this book and it confused the absolute heck out of me. The absolute heck. I was really disturbed and confused. So it was good. I just know I'm never going to reread it. But I guess the basic premise is this little girl, this girl comes back to her house because her mom is sick, and so she's taking care of her mother. But when she was younger, she has trauma in this house because her dad was a serial killer who got arrested. And so she has like all these memories flooding back of her dad and all the suspicious things he did when, you know, he was murdering people. So I don't know, that it was really weird. Made me a little uncomfortable, but like I think that was the author's intention. I just know I'm never going to reread it. So to a new home it goes. All right, last but not least, we can do the romance. Woo. I know, everyone's favorite, and I think most of my books are romance. Okay, so first, there's a man on the cover, so he's got to go. This is Savage Pride by Jill Ramsauer. Yeah, Ramsauer. It's also on Kindle Unlimited, so if I really want to reread this book, I can find it on Kindle Unlimited. But I do not need this man on my shelves anymore. I also remember it being pretty mid. I just know it's like a mafia, like Pride and Prejudice retelling, like modern, wealthy family Pride and Prejudice retelling. So I was into that, but I just remember it not being like super amazing. So I'm going to give it to someone who might appreciate it more. Plus, the man on the cover is not doing it for me. He gone. Next, I have a chonker of a book that I don't think I'll reread. All He'll Ever Be by Willow Winters. Look at this comparison to my face. Yeah, I read this in like one sitting the first time and only time I read this. And I know I'm crazy. I think it took me like 16 hours straight. Call it a readathon, but it's like 700, almost 800 pages. It's like a mafia, really, really, really toxic relationship. And that's all I really remember from it. I remember being like, what? Yeah, it's dark, it's spicy, and I just don't think I'll ever reread it. And it's taking up a lot of shelf space. It's really heavy. So I'm going to donate this to someone who would like to take on this challenge for themselves. All right, next is Addicted to You by Christina and Becca Ritchie. I've not read this one, but I found out it's on Kindle Unlimited, and I know the whole series is on Kindle Unlimited. So I think to just save shelf space, I think I'm just going to donate this book and then read it on Kindle Unlimited, because I don't want to have to buy the whole series. And so, yes. So I'm going to give this to a new home. It's in perfect condition, so I think someone will be very happy to get it. Next is a book that I think I'm never going to reread again, but it's Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. When I read it, I was really into it. I liked the mysterious aspect. I liked not knowing who committed the murder. But like, now that I've read it and watched the movie and I know the ending, I just don't think there's going to be any value in me rereading the book, just at least personally, because it was a bit of a slower book, but I loved watching her grow up. And I think that the movie did a really good job of staying true to the book. So if I really feel nostalgic to get that sense, I'll just watch the movie, which sounds totally blasphemous as a book reader, but I have a TBR that's astronomical, so I gotta make some small sacrifices, and I just don't think this is a priority as a reread. So I'm gonna give it to someone who really appreciate it. Next is a book that I rated 2 stars, Den of Vipers by K.A. Knight. This book was like fan fiction to me. It's like my mom sold me to One Direction, but on steroids, because essentially this girl gets sold to mafia men who think they can do whatever they want to her. And so while it was exciting and spicy, it just wasn't super realistic to me, and I know that I'm not going to reread it. It's not a priority for me, so to a new home it goes. Plus it's hecka chunky, so away it goes. Next is a book that I adored, but I just know I'm never going to reread it. This is By the Book by Jasmine Giori. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the last name. But this book is so sweet. It's like a contemporary inspired romance of Beauty and the Beast. So, you know, he's a hermit and he's grumpy, and she's like super sweet, and she has to go to his house to get him to work on his manuscript because he hasn't been writing. And I don't know, their relationship was sweet. I don't remember a whole lot about it. I just know that I love Beauty and the Beast, which is why I read it, but it's just not something that I feel the need to reread. It's just like a one and done kind of thing. So I hope someone else enjoys reading this book. Next was The Night Shift by Annie Crown. This book, I think, got 2 stars, 2.75 stars. I don't remember. But I did not like this book when I read it. It wasn't until after I was like halfway through that I noticed it was published by Wattpad. And while Wattpad isn't a bad thing, I just consider it something separate than like a published print book. It's like, you know, just meant to be separate, and it felt like it was just copied straight out of Wattpad without any further editing to me. I just thought there were a lot of cringy moments, a lot of like weird pacing, a lot of just like, it wasn't my favorite. I got it because I was excited because she is blonde like me and she loves to read. She works in a library. She's kind of antisocial. And this cute guy comes in, you know, and they have chemistry. So I thought I'd really like it, but it just fell a little flat for me. But I know that someone else may love this book, and I'm really happy if they can get their hands on it because I'm parting with it. All right, next is Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Roberts. Now, this is one of the spiciest books I think I've ever read in my life. I think it's page 3 that they just start devouring each other, if you know what I mean. And I was just like, whatever happened to hi, hello, how are you? That doesn't exist in this book, you know? So I just know that this is just a one and done for me because it was just a little too much for my opinion. But to each their own. I'm not going to yuck someone's yum. I know someone will be really excited to read this book. It was just not for me. So I will pass it on. All right, next is People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. And I have read Happy Place and Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I have loved those books, and I'm keeping those books. This one I just found a little problematic, and it wasn't my favorite. I didn't like the main character, and I just thought she was a little toxic, and that might be a super hot take, but you know, the thing that I love about books is that everyone can form their own opinions, and I will never say anyone's right or wrong. I just think everyone's allowed to have their own opinion. And this just happens to be my opinion. I did not really like Poppy that much. I just thought she was a little toxic. So I am going to say goodbye to Poppy. And I know there are Emily Henry stans out there who would love to pick up a copy of this. So I will part with it because it's just not for me. Next is Partners in Crime by Alicia Ray. And when I read this, it was super cute. I just know I'm never going to reread it because there are so many other romances that I want to get my hands on. And I just know it's not like one of my top favorite romances that I'm going to want to like feel nostalgic for and reach for. So I am happy that I read it. I don't regret it, but I just don't feel like I need to hang on to it to reread it. So I'm just going to say goodbye. My second to last book is Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey. And I think this was middle of the road for me. I think I rated it like 3 stars maybe. 3.5 maybe. And I thought it was just a little cringy at times. But I thought it was cute. And I love a good banter. And so, you know, they have 2 warring bookshops. And so they have like these little like prank wars and feuds that they do, some banter, and I ate up those moments and I loved those moments. But other than that, I just don't think the story is really gonna stick with me, and I don't think I'm gonna find myself wanting to reread it. So it's time to say goodbye. It will go to a new home where it will be loved and appreciated. Last but not least, I'm a little sad to let this one go. I'll show you. This is Tessa Bailey's Secretly Yours, and I got an autographed edition. So she signed it, and part of me wanted to hang on to this just because it was signed, but when I read this, it was so middle of the road for me. I think I gave it 3 stars, and I barely even remember that I read it. I had to go back and check my Goodreads because I was like, did I read this book? And I saw that I did. And if it was really not that memorable to me, I probably didn't like it all that much. I just remember pretty much nothing about it. I remember it was sweet, and I know it had something to do with like wine. And that's about it. And so I know someone will be super excited to get their hands on a signed Tessa Bailey book. And so I am willing to part ways with it simply because it just wasn't that memorable for me. It wasn't my favorite. I have other Tessa Bailey books that I would love to give a try, but I don't think I should hang on to this one purely because it is signed. All right. So, thank you so much for tuning in. That was my 20 books that I'm unhauling, and I'm extremely proud of myself because when it comes to books, I consider myself a little bit of a hoarder, and I like to hold on to a book just because I have good memories with all of them. And even if I hated the book, there's always one thing that I usually like about a book, and I want to hang on to that so I could go back and flip to it, because I love annotating my books. So I think of them as like journals. But I've been in the era where I am trying to cleanse out things that are no longer serving me. And if it's a book that I really know that I'm not going to reread or going to want to flip back to, or if it's a book that I didn't really remember reading because it didn't stick with me or didn't resonate with me, I know that it is time to say goodbye. So out of my 400 something books, saying goodbye to 20 of them right now is a huge accomplishment for me. I know I'll be doing more unhauls in the future, but starting off with 20 is really great for me. And I know that I'm gonna have to be more ruthless in the future, but as of right now, this was my form of ruthlessness, right? So thank you so much for tuning into this video. Let me know if you read any of the books that I'm unhauling, and if you liked them, didn't like them, what your opinions are. If not, please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.